So now on, we're going to continue JavaScript inside of another file, and so I'm going to create a new file and call it statements.js, and this is going to here we're going to talk about how we write our code or syntax inside of the JavaScript. Also, I'm going to create another HTML file where we can show what we've written and output the results that we have created inside of our file. So let's call it output4.html, and there we go. So inside of output4.html, I'm going to copy and paste one of these codes. Probably I'm going to use this one. So okay, and here I'm going to paste it in, and as you can see here we've got window.alert, which I'm going to change it to console.log. Console, and no, sorry, actually this one is going to refer to the script that we have right here, which is a statement.js. So just like the ones we had before, so let me save the other codes as well so that we don't miss them. So here on the output, we've got document.write. Here we're going to have inside of output4, we're going to have src, just like the one we referenced before. So we're going to reference to the statement.js. So let me also put it in the same line as the other one. Okay, there we go. So also the S should be capital, so let me change it to capital. Okay, there we go. And here we have jcodes.js, which was our previous code in JavaScript. Now we are in statement.js. So there we go. So we're going to start with JavaScript codes. So first of all, let me define a new variable and assign a number to it. So let's x, for example, be equal to 5. And notice that in JavaScript we should have semicolon at the end of the each statement. So once this statement finishes, then we have to end it with semicolon. But also when you want to, for example, the line is so long that is more than 80 characters, and you want to go to the next line, you can avoid the semicolon and then go to the next line, and that's pretty much okay. Just opposite to Python, where each line represents something about that line. But even in Python, there are ways to avoid the first line and go to the next line, but we need to care about the indentations. Sorry. So here, let me console.log this variable, which is x. And so we also need to move to the folder that contains all of these codes. So there we go. We need to open up output4.html. And here, if I open up the console.log, we're going to see what is printed out, which should be 5. And here in the console, as you can see, 5 is printed out as a result of the assigning 5 to the variable x and console.log x. So if I change it to 6, you will see 6 here. So let me save the code and here refresh the page. As you can see, we can see 6 here in the console. You can also use output.write to write it over here. No difference really, but it's better to write it on the console. So okay, so right here we also need to not forget to put the semicolon at the end of console.log. So there we go. And also in order to comment the codes here in JavaScript, can use double backslash, and then we can write this is just a comment, and we don't need any semicolon at the end of it. So imagine that you want to have a multi-line comment. So let us see if it works with this double backslash. This is, and as you can see, it doesn't work out that way. So what should we do? Because sometimes we have a very long comment containing the explanation of a long code or a license or something like that. So here, let me try that. Okay, as you can see, it doesn't happen, but this one are actually, instead of dot, we need an asterisk. So in some languages we have triple backslash, in some languages we have asterisk and a backslash. There are different ways, but in JavaScript we have an asterisk and a backslash, and the asterisk should be placed somewhere out after the backslash. So this is, and then you can go to any other lines that you want, and this is a long comment. So but when we want to end this comment, very long comment, which is not very long actually, we can end it with asterisk and backslash. So if I write some code here, as you can see, it is not a comment anymore. So for example, let my name be equal to, so actually let me fix this, let my name equals to, for example, Andy, and let me put it as a string here. And also let's see how we can console how we can see the result of a string here, console.log my name. So let me save the code, and so here, as you can see, we have Andy also printed out, just the same as x, which was equal to 6, and also my name, which equals to Andy. So here, there we go, we have two variables printed out on our JavaScript code, and we can see it on our HTML elements. So now let's get back to defining our variables. So here, imagine that we do not use let here, and for example, we have another variable that we want to define, just like Python. So we write a equals to, for example, 6. So let's see what happens here once we save the code and switch to our page here. So let me refresh the code. So we have no problem right here, but let us get back to our code here. So up to here, no problem, but also if we define it with let here, let's a and b, and then do not assign any number to them, and say, for example, a equals 7. Or, for example, in order to test this one, let us console.log and see that where we can print out a and see it on the console without even defining a using let. Maybe we can define a without let as well. So let's see what happens here. So let me refresh the page, and as you can see, we can successfully say that a is also equal to 6. So no problem with that. And also, when you want to define a variable and then get into somewhere like a for loop or if or other loops or even a function, it's better to use let here. And there are differences between these two kinds of defining the variables in JavaScript, which I'm going to define later. I'm going to talk about later, but for now, you can say that there is no difference between defining these two. Also notice that here we haven't used semicolon at the end of the each line, and we have no error. But when you want to, for example, write these two in the same line, you're allowed, and there's no problem with that. So let me comment this one and save the code. And once I save this one and refresh the page, as you can see, there's no problem, and we have console.log our JavaScript. Okay, and now imagine that I remove this semicolon here and save the code. As you can see, we have an error, which is an indentation error, and the reason is we haven't placed a semicolon. And once I save the code and refresh the page here, let's see what happens. As you can see, we have an error, which is syntax error, and it's because of the semicolon that we haven't placed in there. So once I place a semicolon, everything will be all right. So that's the main reason why we use semicolon. And notice that here we have an indentation. Notice that in some languages like Python, this is going to bring out some problem. But here, let's see if this unnecessary indentation here is going to cause any problem for us. So by saving the code and refreshing the page, as you can see, we have no problem. So there are no problems with the indentation because we already have something else to cover it up, and which is semicolon. Okay. But in Python, because we have no semicolon at the end of the each line, and indentation is going to determine where we are inside of a loop or if a statement or a function, then indentation is going to play a very big role in there. But generally here, as you can see, here in JavaScript, we have no such problem.